Hi everyone, how are you all doing? My name is Natalie. If this is the first time that you're watching my videos, thank you so much for being here. I am a Western tropical astrologer and I use a whole sign house system for all my forecasts and readings. In this video, we are talking about this week's astrology, which is about July 20th to 26th of 2026. So this is a really big week. Last week, I mentioned about the Babault basket, which is a cosmic configuration that almost every single astrologer has been talking about. There are many different takes and many interpretations. I'm not gonna go into a detail of how are they different, but I do see that there's a slight difference in how we are seeing this configuration, and I might touch on it as we continue to talk about all the aspects in this whole cosmic basket configuration, because it essentially is about all these outer planets meeting up in sextile and trines, and the basket finish off with an opposition between Jupiter and Pluto that really seals the basket. And if you draw those lines on a chart, it does look like a basket. So I'm gonna upload that image here again, where you can see how they all meet in sextile and trine, which are all the blue lines, and then the opposition is the red line. So the aspect started to form exact last week, and it will carry on this week. And I would say these couple of weeks is where we might see how these energy really played out on a collective level, because after all, they are all generational planet. They are all outer planets. So essentially, they are bringing in waves of collective changes. And of course, it will also then affect us individually, because we are all living in this timeline together, witnessing all these aspects, all these energies manifesting into reality. So we'll definitely see it. I mean, we are already seeing it. And even though the aspect formed last week and this week, as time goes, even though they won't be exact, the energy of the sextile and trine is still very much present in the rest of this year and next year as well. It's just that, you know, they start to go a little bit apart. They're not exact, but whatever happened, I will say this week, last week, you know, pretty much I will also give it the month before and after this couple of weeks is really what is the seeding moment, you know, that really usher in and will continue to unfold as we go. So this week we continue to have those aspects. In my personal own opinion, I do feel this week aspect can be a little louder and can be felt a little bit more individually and on a collective level. Like we might see a bit more. And as of now that I am recording and uploading, it is already Monday. It's been a really busy weekend, so I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up with time. It's just quite hard to juggle work and this, which is my work as well, but also my passion and other things that's happening in life. But without further ado, let's talk about all the aspects that is happening this week, because other than this basket configuration, we also have quite a lot going on this week with other planets, station, transit, so on and so forth. So this is a pretty earthquake-y week, I would say. And if you watch my previous videos already, I already said the astrology of 2026 is pretty clear cut. From January till end of June, and maybe I will include first week of July as well, it's going to feel quite like they are in one chapter. But as we step into July onwards, July will feel like a clear cut, and the energy will shift and kind of make a turn and really ramp up, you know, for the rest of the year. And the energy will kind of carry through till next year. But again, like I said, I'm not trying to like make you scared and fear. But at the same time, the seriousness of all these astrology is for a reason. It's because that is really calling in the rise of our human consciousness, and not in a woo-woo new agey way, but in more of a grounded, you know, touching grass and facing what is really happening with humanity and Mother Earth, you know. So okay, I'm gonna stop rambling and get right to it. Monday, July 20th, so right now we have Jupiter in Leo trine Neptune retrograde in Aquarius at 4 degrees 22 minutes. So Jupiter and Neptune actually met up in a conjunction, and if you go far away before, in 2022, you will see my video that talked about it. So Neptune Jupiter from a conjunction, and that was in 2022 April 12 in the sign of Pisces. That was, if my memory serves me right, I think that conjunction was happening towards the end of Pisces. I wanted to say 26 degrees, but I might be wrong, but I feel like it was happening at 26 degrees in the sign of Pisces, where the two met, and it was said to be this the most auspicious and dreamy and just like fantasy like aspect. And of course, take it with a grain of salt, because not everyone will feel this transit on that kind of level. You know, it really depends on how it is showing up in your natal chart, what's happening in your life, you know. And remember, Neptune is an outer planet, it's a collective energy. So it might be what is happening outside on a collective level that make you feel certain type of way. So today, this trine between Jupiter and Neptune is the opening trine from that conjunction back in 2022. So a trine, yes, while it can feel like it is harmonious and supportive, it doesn't mean it's good, okay? Trine, I always say there's no good or bad in astrology aspect, because an aspect that can be seen as quote unquote good can manifest into something that might not feel good or seems to be a good thing to that person at that time, right? Sometimes it is a blessing in disguise. This is the universe redirection. But I would say now that the two planets meet up in this trine, but they're both in fire sign, the energy is very different, okay? Jupiter talks about wisdom, talk about our growth, opportunity, expansion. It talks about our sense of optimism, right? Because Jupiter is that optimistic sign, right? It's ruling Sagittarius and Pisces. Neptune is about our human consciousness, right? It's about spirituality, it's about dreams, fantasy, our ideals, right? It is also about, you know, humanity, you know, in a larger context. But on a personal level, this trine can feel like it is inviting you to believe in something again, or believe in something, right? Maybe perhaps this is, you know, that trine is calling you to believe in yourself again, believe in your dreams, believe in what you want to fight for, the future that you want for yourself or future generations, right? This is about what is your dream for yourself and humanity on a collective level, right? Again, because they are generational planets, they are collective, they're about the collective. This is also is maybe perhaps asking you to remember that inner fire, right? Jupiter in Leo, you know, is about remembering your inner fire that keeps you ignited and going, what it is, right? To find that again if you're feeling a bit down lately, right? So while Neptune talks about, you know, like I said, this Neptune has this otherworldly feeling and thinking, you know, and Jupiter is here to expand it. So today can also feel like, you know, believing in something that is bigger than yourself, that's larger than yourself. But at the same time, this is also to be mindful to not to fall into those traps of the false prophets and putting people on pedestal and, you know, just looking at them and thinking whatever they say is right and looking through rose-tinted glasses as well. And I feel like thinking back Neptune in Pisces, you know, the past 14 years when we have Neptune in Pisces, that was a period of time when we see the rise of spirituality, right? Everyone suddenly would become a yoga teacher, spiritual teacher, astrologer, healer. We have this really big surge in astrology as well. People talk about healing, you know, different modalities, energy healing or whatnot, and there's this big wave of this new age spirituality that truly rise up and become very widespread in that period of time during Neptune in Pisces. And I feel like now that Neptune is in Aries, it's calling in a very different energy, and we definitely seen it play out on a collective level, okay? And yes, this might ruffle some feathers, but we did see that after Neptune enter Aries, we are seeing those people, especially those who are very wide known, very popular, very like out there, they are not who they seem. You know, those who talk about healing, spirituality, and all those good stuff, are they really those type of people, or are they all just talk and no action? From the e-files, we can see the name of Deepa Chopra. To be honest, I don't know why ever since I embark on my own spiritual journey, even though he is such a widely known, you know, so-called spiritual healer, teacher, or whatever he is, I never resonate with him. I never liked him. I never look at his word or follow him or anything. My intuition just tell me no. And I understand now why. And I am so grateful for my own intuition, not to toot my horns, but sometimes you just gotta believe in yourself, you know? And maybe this trine is giving you that confident boost that you need in order to move forward, is to know that nowadays we're so overwhelmed with information. Everyone is trying to be out there. Jupiter in Leo is asking you to show up in your own authenticity, you know? You can only find your people by being you. If you're out there putting all these clickbait videos, you know, I see so, and I know I'm going to burst some people bubbles as well. If you see astrologer posting videos that say, oh wow, this is the luckiest sign this month. This sign is going to have the easiest year this year. This sign is going to have the most money, or this sign is going to experience the best luck in romantic partnership this year. Okay, BS. It's just impossible. This is not real astrology. And I really, really don't like those videos. And I'm so glad that sometimes my sister will show me those videos and I'll be like, don't let it affect you. You know, it's not about you. It's not talking about you. One of my sisters, she is, you know, a little overthinker. She will be like, oh my God, I have my moon in Aquarius. And then this video is talking about this lunation. Oh my goodness. Is this going to be like really bad for me? I'm like, oh my goodness. That's why sometimes I really just don't like those videos, you know. I'm like, yes, I understand you need to be out there, and even my sister told me, you know, sometimes you just gotta do this kind of things, you know, so that you can get more views, people can actually know you. And while I know that is true, I also don't want to spread misleading information, because while many people might know astrology, many don't. And for those who don't understand astrology, when they see those videos, they can easily fall into those traps and thinking that, oh my God, this is going to be the best year, and they're so confident and end up being so disappointed, and vice versa. Some people might be so doom and gloom and they fall into this fear-mongering mode and got depressed, while it's not true as well. Every single transit is going to manifest and feel differently according to your own natal chart and your own human story. You know, we can have the exact chart, but if we're moving through different time, different stories in our life, the same transit or aspect can feel very differently for those two people. So all to say, I'm not trying to say that, oh yeah, listen to me and don't listen to those people. No, please don't. But you need to practice discernment. You know, there's no absolute, there's no like, all Leos are going to be millionaire this year. No, that's just BS, okay? That's just not possible. So please practice discernment when you are watching all these videos online and on YouTube or wherever you get your information. Because I feel like this week astrology is going to put that out there, and we might see more and more people, you know, are they really who they are as time unfolds? And we'll just have to wait and see. Later that day, Jupiter in Leo is going to then oppose Pluto in Aquarius, which is retrograding in the sign of Aquarius at 4 degrees 26 minutes. So Pluto and Jupiter had this famous conjunction. You know, back then in 2020, we have the so-called great conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto, where they join force in the sign of Capricorn. And that whole 2020 just felt like the conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto because of the retrograde journey. They have the exact conjunction 3 times, you know, April 4th, June 30th, and my birthday, November 12th. And so during that year, we also see what happened, right? This prediction really came into fruition in a big time, okay? This conjunction literally is COVID, okay? Pluto and Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn literally brought us COVID-19. And that was the conjunction. And today, this is this opposition between the two of them. The two of them also formed a square back in 2023, May 17. And then 3 years again, now Jupiter is all the way on the opposite sign of Pluto. And this is kind of like a full moon moment. Remember how we have a full moon? Full moon happens when they are on each other's opposite side. So Jupiter and Pluto is just like that full moon moment. Today come into an exact opposition. Okay, so you can also think back your life, you know, from 2020 to 2023. What have changed? And now today we reach that full moon moment, right? With Jupiter in the sign of Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. And of course, if you have any personal planets or point at 4 degrees, you are feeling the earth shaking energy of this aspect probably, okay? Because it's all these aspects are happening at 4 degrees. So in some way, if you see that, if you remember that picture earlier, this opposition is that red line, that so-called lid to finish up this basket configuration. And whenever Jupiter and Pluto come together in any kind of aspect, it always brings up the theme of wealth and power. Almost all, I wouldn't say every single, but probably, you know, almost all powerful, wealthy people on this planet, if you look at their charts, they will have some kind of prominent Jupiter and Pluto placement or aspect in their natal chart, because this is what signified that. Jupiter in Leo is going to highlight and magnify that sun rule people, okay? Because Leo is ruled by the sun, and it's talk about that top 1%, the world leaders, celebrities, you know, those people that's really like out there and up there. And opposite of Pluto in Aquarius, which is all about the people, about humanity. We are bringing up that axis, that difference between these two groups of people, and we're definitely seeing a crazy, insane inequality of wealth and power between the everyday people, which is the global majority, and the top 1%, right? The billionaire, the sun rule people. And just last month, we have our first ever trillion, Elon Musk, which is just insane. No one person should have that amount of wealth. It's just not right in some way, because in order to have that amount of wealth, not trillion, I mean even billion, I would say, you have to be someone that is not ethical. Because how else are you going to get that amount of wealth? It's through exploitation. What else, right? Exploitation, extraction from planet Earth. That's all I can say. And I feel like this opposition is really highlighting that for all of us. And we are seeing that on a collective level too, right? And very soon, later this week, just in a few days, which I will touch on later, we will have the nodes shifting signs. South node will join force and enter Leo, while North node, I'm correct. North node will then enter Aquarius. You really bringing up this theme, this axis up to our forefront for every one of us, on a personal level, on a collective level, right? Even though it will just take, it will take some time. It will take some time for South node to really conjunct Jupiter and oppose Pluto, but the energy is there. Once South node enters the sign of Leo later this week, the energy is there already. And the next couple of years is all about these energy that is up in the sky, how we feeling them, how they playing out in your personal life and on a collective level. South node is that point of release, right? It's that point of letting go, having less of. And it will also invite us to reflect on everything that I've just talked about, right? Our obsession and attention on celebrities and the celebrity culture, right? Because Leo is all about the limelight, the spotlight, people that's like really out there. And having South node over there, I feel like the next couple of years, which now that I'm talking about, this is about the nodal shift now, we will definitely see some fall from grace. Some people fall from grace, whether this is some leader, God forbid, or some celebrities, because we are going to see who they really are. Are they really, do they really deserve our attention and our time and us obsessive over them? Because guess what? They don't know you. They don't care about you. And yet we pour in our time to chase after them, to spend our time and money on them. I think this will really invite us to reflect on things like that, if we should continue to do that. And maybe this is the time to pour those time, effort, money, energy back into yourself instead. And the North Node in Aquarius is going to ask us to focus on humanity more, right? To remember to take our power back, right? Pluto is there. It's about pouring those energy back into ourselves and to each other, people who you actually care and care about you in return. So then the next day on the 21st, we have Jupiter in Leo, sextile Uranus in Gemini at 4 degrees 37 minutes. So Uranus and Jupiter met up back in 2024, April 20th in the sign of Taurus. So this is that opening sextile between these two planets. Uranus is that sudden change energy, and Jupiter can magnify and dial it up a little bit today. So today can bring in some radical sudden shift and changes in someone's life. This can maybe be about a certain belief that is in you. You know, Jupiter talks about our belief, you know, some patterns that we have, behaviors. You know, Uranus in Gemini is talking also about the way we think, right? It might bring in some radical change in what you think about certain things, right? It might give you a light bulb moment, aha moment about certain things in your life perhaps, or what is happening out in the world. This can also bring in that urge, that movement, that breakthrough in something in your life. And maybe for some, this is about your dreams, you know, your passion project or ideas, because we have Jupiter in Leo. So this can definitely be about that. You can also feel this urge to move the energy, right? To do something, to say something, you know, to speak up, or to make a decision, to decide to start on something, to do something, to have a breakthrough yourself in certain areas in your life as well. Next day, July 22nd, the sun will enter Leo at 12:13 a.m. Pacific time or 3:13 p.m. Hong Kong time. This will usher in a new zodiac season, the Leo season. This is also marking the height of summer in the Northern Hemisphere, because Leo is the fixed fire sign that is happening in the middle of summer. So weather is definitely hitting all-time high. I know that the weather is going to get really hot next week here in where I live, and Leo season is about, you know, shining your light, being your authentic self, and letting yourself be seen. And this energy can feel very uncomfortable for some people who enjoys to be in the shadow, to shy away. But this season can also give someone the boost to be courageous, be confident. And having Jupiter in Leo, and like I said later, with South Node joining Leo, we have a lot of Leo energy. So this is your Leo house getting activated as well. So take a look and see which house is ruled by Leo, the themes, the area of life that Leo talks about. Now that sun enters Leo with Jupiter, and we're going to have that Jupiter Cassimi next week, along with that full moon in Aquarius. Next week is going to be super loud as well. So prepare, watch out for next week's video. We'll talk about that and right after the sun enters Leo, we will then have a 27 hours and 18 minutes of void course moon from 2:48 p.m. to like the rest of the day, because 7 hours. So it's going to happen until the next day, July 23rd, 6:06 p.m. Pacific time. So adjust the time according to where you are in the world. Like I always say, because I know, you know, sometimes someone is just watching my videos for the first time. So void of course moon is a period of time when we don't want to launch anything, okay? Unless you want to launch or do something that you don't want to receive any feedback, right? So like government, if they want to pass a bill that nobody will object, they will probably do it during this time. But for us, if you want to like debut your business, you want to launch your product, absolutely not. Don't do it during void of course moon, okay? Void of course moon is a time that the cosmic is inviting us to slow down, to nourish your body, right? Do all the moon thing, which is prioritize rest, you know, take it easy. I know not all of us have that luxury, you know, many of us have that 9 to 5, or we have multiple jobs, you know, even. So that might not be available, but try, if it's available, to prioritize rest, to space out your schedule, make sure you're taking care of your body, taking care of yourself, your energy, you know, maybe spend some time, be with yourself, you know, do a little hey, what's up to yourself? Like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, and everything? You know, nourish yourself with food, rest, water. And I mean, in Northern Hemisphere it's hot, so stay hydrated. Do all these like nourishing things for yourself. Next day, July 23rd, we literally have things happening every single day. So on 23rd, we have the Sun in Leo square Chiron in Taurus at 0 degree 48 minutes. So, today can feel a little bit tender for some of us, okay? The Sun square Chiron can bring up some wounds for all of us, and specifically ego wounds, okay? This can feel really ouch for some people today. Maybe some growing pain, okay? So try to not take things personally, but also don't shy away from accountability, okay? Because for some, this is going to give you like an ego bruise, but for a good reason. Maybe it's time for you to be a little bit humble, okay? Maybe this can be a humbling moment for some, and it's a much needed one. And this is also an invitation for you to heal as well. So if you don't take it, if you can, try not to take it personally, so that you can also see the lesson, the message that Chiron, which is the wounded warrior healer teacher, trying to bring in for you today as well. Later that day, on the same day, on 23rd, I have a good news for you. Mercury station direct in the sign of Cancer at 16 degrees 90 minutes. No, Mercury retrograde is not finished yet, okay? It doesn't mean that every time people hear Mercury station direct, they automatically think that things is just going to be, 180 sunshine rainbow. No, there's no such things like that, okay? When a planet station, it is not moving, okay? So it's actually not rainbow and sunshine, because it means that nothing is literally happening or something big might be happening, because stations is when we feel the energy a little bit more than before, more than usual. So for some, this can feel a bit more, especially if you have, any planets on point that it's aspecting the 16 degrees in the sign of Cancer, okay? So now that Mercury station direct, it will take some time to regain its speed. That means we are in the phase 3, which is the post shadow of Mercury retrograde. I always say that Mercury retrograde journey have 3 parts. The phase 1 is pre-shadow, and then the actual retrograde period. And then now that it's station direct, the phase 3, which is the post shadow, because Mercury will now trace back the degree points where it was retrograding the last 3-4 weeks until Mercury reaches 26 degree 15 minutes where it started its retrograde journey. So that will be August 6 or 7 depending where you are in the world. So from now till August 6 to 7, Mercury is still not fully out of the whole Mercury retrograde shadow journey yet, okay? It's gaining speed slowly, it's retracing those degree points. So for many of us, this is about what was Mercury retrograde teaching you, right? How has everything transpired since the pre-shadow, which is June 12th when it started. From June 12th to end of June, that was the pre-shadow. So whatever happened during that time, now Mercury is going to retrace those steps. So maybe perhaps something happened during that time or during the Mercury retrograde, and now Mercury is retracing those degrees, is the aftermath, right? Is the answer, the solution, the clarity, the oh, I know what to do now, or oh, I know how to move forward now kind of moment. So Mercury will officially be done August 6, 7, the whole Mercury retrograde journey. Mercury will then continue to stay in Cancer for just a few more days, and then Mercury will enter the next sign, which is Leo. July 24th, we have Mercury in Cancer, sextile Venus in Virgo at 16 degrees 20 minutes. So today can feel actually quite nice, because 23rd we have Mercury station direct, right? And then the next day we have the sextile with Venus in Virgo, which is ruled by the Mercury that just station direct as well, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So this is actually quite a nice energy. Today can be some heartfelt conversation, feel good conversation. You know, Cancer is all about being heard, you know, feeling safe and secure. Along with this Venus in Virgo is about, you know, maybe having some conversation that you were reflecting on during Mercury retrograde, right? Maybe you were thinking about certain things in your life. Maybe you were having some time to reflect on certain things, certain situation, certain area of your life during Mercury retrograde. And now today, this is the time to have maybe perhaps that conversation that you have been waiting for. On the same day, we have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, sextile Neptune retrograde in Aries at 4 degrees 20 minutes. So these two planets take a long time to travel through the zodiacal wheel. So for them to meet up in any kind of aspect takes quite a while. So to give you an example, the last time these two planets meet in a conjunction was centuries ago, 1891, okay? So you can say that whatever happened around that time, now we are having this open sextile between the two of them. And I will have to do a little bit digging around what is happening in the world during that time. But of course, you know, this can be a lot, and this is on a collective level. But to bring it closer to us, this sextile between Pluto and Neptune can feel quite spiritual and magical in some way, right? But this is about, how to say, feeling a little bit deeper into what is it that you believe in, right? Pluto in Aquarius is digging deep into humanity, right? And I feel like with what is happening the past few years, it really hits all of us differently, of course, right? I'm sure every one of us have certain POV, okay? And it probably hits differently for everybody, right? We all feel it in a different level. But today can be a great day to do some little magical spells if you want to for humanity. Send out a good intention, send out a prayer, do a little magic. If you want, do a hex or not. Or yes, who knows, right? Cast a spell, wink wink, you know? So, but this is definitely can be a day that, you know, be in community with people that share your values, you know, believe in the same thing like you, want to fight for the changes that you want as well. 25th is basically almost a whole day of void of course moon, okay? We have 22 hours, 46-minute void of course moon from the morning of 25th, which is 7:58 a.m. until pretty much next day, July 26th, 6:44 a.m. and these are all, like I said, Pacific time, so adjust the time according to where you are in the world. And then finally 26, we have Saturn station retrograde in the sign of Aries at 14 degrees 45 minutes. Saturn will retrograde back into 7 degrees 55 minutes in the sign of Aries, and it will station direct December 10th, so pretty much end of the year. For people who have Saturn in Aries, you know, this is your Saturn return journey, and you'll probably feel this the most. I would say today, probably this week, especially this weekend, and maybe the first couple of days of next week can feel like a turning point for some people, for many people with Saturn in Aries. This can be a moment to maybe perhaps there's a point of pivot in your life, right? And in general, for all of us, Saturn retrograde is a period of time to reflect on our priorities, on our commitments, on our boundaries. What are we committed to or committing to? Do we still want to do that, or is it time to make some changes? Take a look and see your Aries house. What are the themes, topic, areas of life is Aries house for you? Saturn retrograde is inviting us to reflect on them and see if there's anywhere that we have no boundary, too much boundary, not enough boundary, right? Are we committed to those or not? Do we want to, or how, right? Maybe the foundation is shaky. Well, then how can we rebuild it? Perhaps this foundation is outdated. It's no longer sustainable. It's time to knock it all out and rebuild it, right? So these are what we are being called to do in the next few months. And Saturn retrograde multiple months every year. So it's also just reminding us that we are not meant to be on the go all the time. There are times that we need to go faster, take action, seize the moment, so to say. And there are moments that we are being called to wind down, to reflect. We can't just keep going without reflecting, right? So this is also that call of action as well. On the same day, on 26, we have that nodal shift happening. So today, the nodes of fate officially shift sign, okay? So the nodes is not some kind of planet or point. They are the calculation of the sun and the moon in order to let us know where the eclipses are happening. So North Node will be entering Aquarius and the South Node will enter Leo, activating that axis in our chart, bringing in some fated changes, events, ending and beginnings in those houses. For us is the so-called Jesus take the wheels for the next 18 months to 2 years for all of us, because we will be witnessing eclipses happening in these two signs. We will have one very soon, not the Aquarius full moon, although that moon is going to feel pretty eclipsy, but the one after, which is a solar eclipse in Leo. Okay, so buckle up, people. Eclipse season is coming up on us very, very soon. So for people who have North Node in Aquarius and South Node in Leo, this is your nodal return. Usually when you are in your nodal return is, I wouldn't say similar, but sometimes the energy can feel like having a Saturn return, right? But it's more kind of like out of your control in some way, because the node of fate will kind of take the wheel and course correct you in certain areas of your life if it's necessary, right? And if you have, the nodal reversal, which is South Node and, if you have like South Node in Aquarius, yes, and North Node in Leo, this is that nodal reversal where similar energy but in opposite signs, right? And just to call in some memory, last time when we have North Node in Aquarius and South Node in Leo was around 2009 to 2010, right? So you can see what was happening around that time in your life. Were there some big changes, some beginnings, endings, some important events that took place in your life around those 2 years? Not that the exact same thing will happen, but perhaps a similar energy might happen. Remember, these aspects don't just happen in a vacuum. Like I always say, there are other transit aspects happening at the same time. So you can't just like think back those 2 years and the exact same thing is going to happen now. Okay. And the nodal reversal was 2017 to 2019. So for some, you can also think back what was happening around that time. Perhaps a similar theme might come up as well. We will definitely continue to talk about this nodal shift, and whenever there's a nodal shift, I always offer that nodal shift package workshop for everyone to see basically what do they mean for you, how do they show up in your chart, what does North Node in Aquarius and South Node in Leo showing up in your chart, what are they doing, what shifts are they bringing in, how do you work with those energy, what can you expect, any important time and date that you need to know, and are there any remedies, that we can work with the energies? Okay, to end the video on the same day, we have the Sun in Leo opposed Pluto in Aquarius at 4 degrees 17 minutes. So just a few days ago, we have Jupiter opposed Pluto, and today the Sun is going to do the same. It's going to oppose Pluto. Like I said before, Sun represent the people that's like up there and out there, right? The world leaders, celebrities, you know, the people that deemed to be the most powerful, right? And having this opposition between, there might be a fall from grace for some people, maybe a certain someone, you know. But for you personally, this can be a day that might bring in some power dynamic, struggle, control between you and someone, or you between a group of people, because we have that Pluto in Aquarius, right? This is kind of like you versus someone, or you versus a group or a community or whatnot, right? This can also be a profound moment of self-awareness, right? Because the Sun essentially is your soul. So this can be a day of deep revelation, a profound moment, like, oh wow, you might have an epiphany, you know, revelation about yourself or certain things in your life, you know, about maybe someone even, or maybe this is about a certain belief system or a pattern in your life, you know, a way of thinking. But this can also be a moment because of that to reclaim your power, you know, to help you step into your sense of self, you know, as well. So all these are the different scenarios that can play out for all of us. So this is what is happening this week. Is a lot, is literally every day, okay? Like I said, the astrology is astrologying this July, and I am so grateful to be able to do this and share this with you all, and I'm so grateful for you all here, you know, subscribing, liking, sharing the videos. I hope you find it useful, helpful in any way, shape, or form. You know, the best way you can support me without spending any money is to just share it, to like it, to comment, to connect with me. I always want to know how you find these videos, so feel free to let me know. And I'm also over on the Instagram. If you want to contact me for a personal consultation, everything is in the description box. Check it out. And I am so grateful for you. Sending you all so much love. Try to move through this week with ease, with a little bit of slowness and your grounding tools. And I'll see you next time. Bye.